Ludwig Mies van der Rohe, a German-born American architect born on March 27, 1886 in Aachen, Germany, as the youngest of 5 children. His original name was Maria Ludwig Michael Mies. He then adopted his mother's surname after he had established himself as an architect. Speaking of architecture, Ludwig Mies did not receive any formal training in architecture. His father was a master mason in which he helped and gained experiences in construction. And at age 15, he became an apprentice to several architects in Aachen, Germany. This experience honed his skills and abilities in drafting, which would be beneficial in his later works. And later on, at age 21, he received his first commission, a traditional suburban house. This will then catch the attention of Peter Behrens, a famous German architect of that time, which taught the likes of Le Corbusier. While apprenticing to Peter Behrens, this timeline was a turning point for Ludwig Mies' philosophy and overall view of architecture. Then World War I came, 1914 to 1918. His career was halted as he served the German military, helping construct bridges and roads in the Balkans. After that, he debuted some of his conceptual works, and by the late 1920s, he had become a leading avant-garde architect in Germany. He joined several artistic groups. One of them is the Bauhaus movement, founded by Walter Gropius. The Bauhaus movement embraced socialist ideas and a functional philosophy in arts and design. Obviously, at that time, this ideology conflicts with the Nazis in Germany, and then later on, he was forced to shut down. 1937 came and he went to the United States, which is where he made a name for himself. He designed and fully developed his identity while epitomizing the so-called international style of the Modernist movement. It was apparent that Ludwig Mies did not particularly subscribe to the idea of adding dramatized details to his works and to how he thinks architecture should be. For that ideology is where traditional architecture takes place. His quote, "Architecture is the will of an epoch translated into space," fully supports this, for he uses materials that are a product of industrialization and technology, which no one at that time was using before. And modernist movement and philosophy was evident during his time. His buildings and works were purely an expression of its era and its materials. As he explained, "I am not interested in the history of civilization. I am interested in our civilization, our current civilization. We are living it because I really believe that after a long time of working and thinking and studying, that architecture can only express this civilization we are in and nothing else." With complementary to his philosophy was also his posture in designing, which are the architectural integrity, structural honesty, purity. In the famous quote anointed to him, "Less is more," is what he applied and exaggerated in most of his works, emphasizing function, conveying minimalism, and showing vibrancy of its stripped down materials and form. Okay, so for his famous works, first off is the German Pavilion, also known as the Barcelona Pavilion. It is a pavilion built in the 1929 to represent the new and progressive phase of Germany after World War I. This work of Mies acted as a bridge to his later works and to architectural modernism. Shortly after, it was demolished by the Nazis in 1930, and after half a century, it was rebuilt by a group of young Catalan architects from photographs and very little salvage drawings that remained. Next is a large-scale project, which is the Lakeshore Drive Apartments in Chicago. One of the first large-scale projects that Mies designed. This is also the start of his implementation of minimal usage of materials, which is glass and steel, which gives off a stark feel, which then acknowledged to be the international style, which influenced high-rise office buildings throughout the United States and other countries. It is also similar to his work Crown Hall and the Illinois Institute of Technology and the Seagram building in New York City. Last on the list is the Farnsworth House. It is a commissioned work from Miss Edith Farnsworth. It is designed to be a weekend house in the style of international style with full-on windows that surrounds the home. It is a bold, modern, and revolutionary design of its time, though this produced problems and conflicts with the client herself. Now for additional trivias about Ludwig Mies. His famous quote, "Less is more," originated from an 1855 poem made by Robert Browning entitled Andrea del Sarto. Ludwig Mies also did furniture design. One of his works was the Barcelona chair, which was a classic in terms of 20th century furniture design. Ludwig Mies did not particularly had a happy marriage with Adele Auguste Brunn, but nevertheless they still had 4 children. One of his clients, Miss Edith Farnsworth, developed a love interest in him, but shortly after she got irritated of him talking about the purity of architecture and him being impractical in terms of designing the Farnsworth house. And after that, lawsuits even occurred between the two of them. Now, lastly, in terms of his personality, he was laconic and reticent and deliberative.